Hello boys and girls, welcome to my channel, I'm ForClassic and welcome to BenchART. So for today what I do have in here is Observer System Redux, but this time running on my GT 740M, which is equivalent to a GT 825M or a GT 920M. So this game it is developed by Bloober team. In case you don't know these guys, I'm pretty sure you know them, alright? So these guys are the developers behind many horror games slash walking simulators. Games like Bandwith, which was offered recently on Epic Game Store, also the Layers of Fear 1 and 2, and now, yes, The Observer, and there is an upcoming game that was about to get released on December, but it was postponed to January because Cyberpunk, which is Median, or The Median, which will debut on Xbox Series X and Xbox Series S and also PC, and yeah, it will be also another game. So looking to the settings, I'm running this Observer System Redux at 720p using the absolutely minimum settings. The only difference in here is that I'm not using anti-aliasing disabled. It's not really, I mean, if you use FXAA or TXAA, there is almost no performance penalty. You just need to choose what you like the most. So if you can handle a super blurry visual, then you can go with TXAA or even FXAA. But if you prefer a sharper but jaggy visual, you can go with no anti-aliasing, because performance difference in this game between using anti-aliasing or using no anti-aliasing at all, it's pretty much close to zero. So you just need to use whatever you prefer. And if you use the resolution scaling at full, which gives you a native 720p rendering, you just have like this performance under 20 frames per second. So my recommendation is to go with 720p, use the anti-aliasing that you prefer the most, but you need to use resolution scaling to off. This is pretty much playing the game at, I don't know, it should be something like 360p. So yeah, it's a pretty low resolution, but it's the only way that you get to get mostly an experience above 30 frames per second. And if you look to the requirements, you can quickly predict that this is not going to run great, because it asks a minimum of a GTX 1050, and that's a desktop version, and we just have in here the GT 740M. So the results without recording, it was a mixed feeling, alright, because it depends on the part of the scenario that you are playing. I got an average of 46, but the reality is that this game tries to load tons of stuff in real time, just like many open world does, but it uses too much CPU. And what I felt is that my i5 4200U couldn't really manage to deliver you know, a sustainable performance to be playing the game while streaming those assets that appears in key moments of the game, like for example where you open a certain door and the game needs to load a full room. You can notice a big stuttering, but there are moments where the game needs to load a full entire corridor, and when that happens the game sometimes just stops for 1 second to load that environment. And when that thing happens, you can get very low frame rate while the game it is trying to load its assets, or the CPU it is trying to load those assets. And despite I was playing with an SSD, the real culprit in here, it was really the CPU. And you can actually see I got a big spike in there to 100% on the CPU. Yes, I'm recording, which doesn't really help at all, but you will notice on the video that there will be moments where my CPU will go to 100%. I will be having tons of stuttering, and that's mostly the reason why I have so much stutter in game. There will be moments where the graphic cards can't also deliver more than 30 frames per second. But I mean, in my own opinion, since this is a walking simulator, having 30 frames per second, it is more than enough for this game. But what really destroys the, you know, the fluidity of the game and the smoothness, it is really the stutters caused by the CPU. And it can be a little bit complicated to play, as you can see. There you go, another big stutter in here. That does happen. So it's mostly just that. Every time the game needs to load something, the game just stops. That can be like in this paused moment when you are analyzing stuff, but it can also happen when you are traversing a corridor and the game just stops for 1 or 2 seconds because it needs to load the corridor. Alright, because apart from that, the game actually manages to be played above 30 frames per second most of the time. Now the second issue it is that we are playing with that kind of 360p resolution, so playing at that resolution can be pretty bad because this game contains a lot of stuff that you need to read, like the door numbers and stuff like that, and at a certain distance, since the resolution it is so low, it is very hard to understand of what the hell you are reading, and there are a lot of neons and stuff like that, so it's really hard to understand what you are watching at that resolution, especially when you have a little bit of a distance from the objects that you want to read. So yeah, that's probably the only big issue. It is really the graphics quality that you are playing and the stuttering that you will get with this system. Alright guys, so I think that's all that I wanted to talk about the performance, so let's now talk a little bit more, about the game. So, the Observer System Redux. It is some kind of a small remaster, probably let's call it some sort of definitive edition. The original game was released 3 years ago, and this remaster contains a lot of new features and improvements comparing to the original. So that might not be worth to you to check it out if you already completed the original one, but if you really want to revisit the game in a better shape, or you are buying it for the first time, this is definitely the way to go. And in fact, you can't buy the original anymore, so you can only get this remastered version. So starting with the graphics, lighting was brutally improved. There is volumetric lights all over the place, so there is a big change on tone. And I was a little bit afraid because on the demo version that they did release for this remaster, the lighting was a little bit weird, but it seems that they fixed it in the original game. So lighting, it is definitely better than the original and miles away from the demo that they did release. Although, since we are playing on low settings, you don't get any of these improvements that I have listed on this GPU. So all the volumetric lighting and all the improvements in lighting are just not here comparing to the original or comparing to the demo. So that's something for when you have a GPU that it is able to run the game at medium settings, you will get that improvement. Also, there is ray tracing support. Unfortunately, I still don't have a ray tracing card, so I can't really tell how much of an improvement it is. Textures were improved as well, as many animations and effects, and there is also 3 new side quests that should give you about 1 or 2 hours of extra gameplay, including more interrogations and a ton of quality of life improvements. So yeah, more bug fixes, and also stealth was redesigned. It is slightly different, but it should work the same way. If you didn't play the original, or if you don't know, it is a horror game as form of a walking simulator. This is what Bloober Teams actually manages to do better. It is their walking simulators. So this game is set in the year 2084. You are searching for your own son, called Adam, in a poor apartment block during a quarantine, which affects augmented citizens. Deus Ex anyone, huh? You have tons of puzzles to solve and jump scares to catch, because definitely that's the way that the game will scare you. It will be through jump scares. The biggest thing about the game is that you can go inside people's minds, because you have kind of a device that allows you to connect to someone and get inside their minds and travel across their memories and all that kind of stuff. So it's a very psychedelic moment, and it's a big key feature of the game, of the Observer, and it's their selling point as well. But unfortunately, it can also be the worst thing about the game, because sometimes those moments just drag too much on that psychedelic environment, which many times you are not understanding what the hell is going on, and yeah, it just drags too much. So if you are curious about those moments, I decided to include one of those moments on this gameplay. It should be the last thing you will see on this video, And this is still one of the smallest ones. It's because the other ones will be bigger, so I really think this causes a big issue on the pacing of the game because it just drags too much. So it's a game that you can expect to finish between 6 to 8 hours if you don't rush the stuff. And, well, that's pretty much you can expect from Observer System Redux. It is a puzzle-based game on and as well as an horror game inside a walking simulator game that have a very good narrative and very good a very good environment if you are into cyberpunk style. And I just want to say that the voice actor, the main voice actor of the game, it's just passed away, and he have done a great job. So rest in peace. His name is Rutger Hauer. I think it's how it is spelled, and they have done an excellent job on this game. But unfortunately, it isn't here anymore to play, or at least to hear his own voice on Observer System Redux. So guys, I think that's all that I want to talk about Observer System Redux. Hope you did enjoy the video, and I do hope to see you soon. Goodbye.
You fought in the big one. Is that why you got all this junk in you?
Plasma sweep. Hit our convoy. Barreled through armor.
Sorry, I didn't mean to bring back memories.
Yes. Memories.
Right. I'm heading out. Can you give me full access to the building?
Assistance. Unstable. Unlocked. What I could.
Thanks. You better stay here. There might be some very nasty people out there.
Nasty. Bad.
Look, just stay safe. You know what? I never got your name. I'm Dan.
Name? Janus. Like a Roman god. You know.
Sorry I gave you a hard time earlier. Good to meet you. Janus.
Hey! You! I can hear you out there! Help me, please!
Anyone here? Jesus. A second victim. Badly injured, but still breathing. Don't be afraid. I'm here to help. Who did this to you? Listen to me. The building's on lockdown. There's no way I can help you now. But I can get whoever's responsible for this if you help me find him. Don't try to talk. There's another way.
Subject approved. Commencing neural interrogation.
skrzyżowanie dotyczy zwłaszcza...
Amir, is that you?
Yeah, thanks.
Czas procesu suszenia rośliny następuje częściowa recenizacja hioscyaminy. Suszony surowiec zawiera zmienne ilości antrokyny. Halucynogenne i trujące upadł przy współczulnej lęk. Silnie toksyczne
Thanks,
zwłaszcza
kid.
środka odwrotnego.
This should get me through the week.
Wywoływać senność i amnezję. Średnia śmiertelna dawka zawartej w roślinie skropolaminy wynosi zgonu po dawce 1 mg. Pochodna, butylowana hiasycyna, stosowana w medycynie.
What the fuck, man? I told you not to show up during the day.
You'll rot in here. This fucking slop again.
It's called soup. Now dig in, it's not getting any better.
out. I need a fix. Give it to me. Now. Fuck yes. Finally.
Do you remember the night we met?
It's hard to forget. I've always wondered, were you scared? Of me, I mean.
No, I could see right through you. I saw that underneath all your muscles and tattoos, you were like a big wounded animal. Lost. Alone.
Hey, at least you knew what you were getting into.
Yeah, I guess I did.
In sickness and in health, forsaking all others.
To have and to hold from this day forward, until death do us part.
Any regrets?
None.
You can do it. I know you can.
Stabilization imminent. Administer medication. Neural interrogation aborted. Subject expired during questioning. Emergency extraction procedure successful.